That's my blanket. Hey, we're just adjusting the camera so that we can see it show different things when I was taking the photo.
It's fine.
Hi, Ian.
Who's that?
Okay. That was a bit of hard work getting the camera set up today. So let me just move all this stuff that I had for the thumbnail. Yep. One of those was Kohinoor. That would be this one that weirdly just got sent in a plastic bag. A snap-lock bag. That was a bit bizarre. Oh, I need to turn the lights on, sorry. Put some light on the subject. So quickly, I'll just show. I wanted to get these paints from Officeworks, but our Officeworks here didn't have them in stock. I actually had to do an online order, so I just grabbed some more of this J. Burrows digital paper. It's really super smooth and really nice. Then I also got lots of snap-lock bags apparently, and these are the round Taklon brush set. I think it 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And I'll just to get the size 12 brush was something like $11, and it was $12 or $13 to get the whole set. So of course I'm going to buy the whole set. Then I've wanted some white gouache for a while, so I got the Winsor & Newton zinc white. I don't know the difference between whites, so hopefully it's a good one. I got these paper clips because I've been making some paperclip things and I thought they'd be good, and some card bases because they were on clearance for $1, and just some pretty paper. That's a pearlescent paper, so I'll just get rid of all of that. I just wanted to show that order really quickly so you could see where it came from, and I'll pass my assistant the box and ask her to move it out of the way. Oh, and because I want to do another comparison, I got the Derwent Academy and the Iron Lac watercolour basics to try them out, because I haven't tried the Derwent paints or the Iron Lac, and I actually have some reject shop ones that are like $5 to
Oh, we're doing that sale another day.
compare them with. Yes,
Another day.
Is another day.
Okay.
So firstly, I have the cocktail set. Now this paper that I'm using is Ardo paper. I was out yesterday and I decided for the other swatches is Ardo paper because I was out, and I decided I wanted to make the swatches while I was out because I'd be sitting down for a couple of hours. And
Ian said zinc is the most transparent white.
darn, I wanted the most opaque one. What is the most opaque one? But this swatch is on cotton Ardo, 100% cotton, and this one is cellulose. I just wanted some cheap paper to work with the cheap paints. So first up, I've got the Superior cocktail set. Now, I was supposed to swatch these last week, but they didn't come. I'm just going to grab a knife. Oh, my daughter likes to cut things open, so my lovely assistant will cut them open.
Well, until I fall.
I love these little bottles from IKEA. I've only been to IKEA a couple of times because it's pretty far away from where I live. But the first time I went, I got these bottles and they just fill the water bottles so easily.
Whoops.
Because I hate just going to the tap just to get a couple of drops of water for my bottle and wasting all that water. So they just pour out nicely into the bottle, into the barrel, I should say. Oh, I need to fill that one too. I don't know. What are you doing?
Titanium or Chinese white. That's what Ian said.
Okay, well, I'll have to have a look and see what I can get around here because it's not very easy getting supplies here. If you want to, you could swatch the original colours into my book.
Which one?
The big set.
Oh. Okay.
So I was running a bit late and I'd totally forgotten that I need to renumber this, so I totally fluffed it up. But it's just a swatch, so I wasn't too worried. Curious, did we get white in that one? Yes, we got the same white. So that's the only colour that is a double from the original set. That one has 42 colours. And I spent like an hour going through the sets to work out what colours were in each one to not get any doubles.
So where exactly am I swatching this?
Just on that blank page. Just leave a spot for the title. It doesn't have to have numbers or anything. Just start with the first number and...
Which one? The what? The yellow?
The white.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, so...
Hang on. You said you go out of IKEA. I got lost in a big
You can bring
IKEA
it closer and then I can read it.
several hours long.
It's like a rabbit warren and you just keep going round and round and round and eventually it spits you back out again. So this is the same... Oh, that's not wet enough. This is the same white that's in the first set. Some of these look like they have a bit more white in their colours, but again, they have no pigment information, so you can't know unless you know your pigments, which I don't really know my pigments yet. I'm learning as I go. This brush isn't being as nice as the last one was. Let's try again. So the numbers in this are labelled F instead of C. They're labelled F, and they start at F61, F60.
There's no point me doing a white, hey?
Not if you don't want to. Probably won't see it very well. We're moving into blush and pink shades. What? Is that your phone?
No, that was your phone.
Can you link Mr. Mod the stream? I'm not sure if he's here.
Mod. Wait.
There's definitely more white in these. I was just curious because they had such pretty colours.
How do I do that? How do I link Mr. Mod the thing?
You don't have it open on there. No, you may not be in this video. Down, miss. What did I just do? That one. So this brush doesn't seem to be flowing as nicely as the other brush did, which I'm not quite surprised. These are quite cheap paints, so I didn't expect super great quality out of the brush.
How do I send links? Oh wait, I know how to do it. Hang on. I know how to do it.
I did see some people upset about this flip out system, about being unable to get to this last one. But if you just move those up, it's quite easy to get to the last pan.
There you go. Oh look, Mud said hello. Mud said hello.
So the two pinks are a bit more opaque than the first couple of colours that we've tried.
Mr. Mud said hello.
But then these look milky again. Hello, Mr. Mod.
Ian said it's okay with the white. I can't say the last one. The second. So, button.
Oh, that's good then. Because the watercolour ones are all pretty transparent. I just wanted something, if I was doing water or something like that, that I wanted to have a bit more of a white highlight in. So one of the things that sold me on this palette was the amount of purples and this beautiful teal colour. I really don't like this water brush.
I don't either.
I've just got a chamois next to me that I'm making sure there's no paint left on the brush with. It's a very pale blue. I would consider these more for this palette, more for
Mr. Mud said.
crafters and the like.
Mr. Mud said is teal blue. That's what Mud said.
Yeah, and then we've got teal green. Cat, stop misbehaving. Oh, this looks like a periwinkle type colour.
Periwinkle?
Yes, periwinkle is a flower.
Okay. Whatever.
Then we're moving on to a green. And I think my cat has really decided to go all out tonight, and I think she's going to chew on plastic.
No.
Just to be irritating. Well, it sounded like she was about to start. That's an interesting colour.
It's yellow. No. It's a yucky colour.
I'm not going to say what it looks like to me. Oh dear.
Mod said I don't know periwinkle was a colour flower. No comment. That's what he said after. That's what Mod said.
So I probably see if I can fit a different water brush in here because I really don't like that one.
Oh, there.
Yeah, that one will fit in there. I have to see if I can find a water brush that I like to go with this set. Now this in the swatch on here looks blue, but again it looks very white.
No,
with
it's
a
white.
hint of something in it.
No, it's grey.
Well, that's not what the swatchy thing says down there. It looks bluish greenish. That's the cocktail colours. Did I miss one? What did I do? Oh, I missed. I have totally fluffed up the numbers on this one, so I'll have to go back and fix that at another point. I just didn't have time to pull out my watercolour ground before and fix it up. So they're the colours. They're really pretty. They do seem to have a bit of white in most of them as well, though, so that's a bit different from the original set. So that's all the superior colours so far, until they bring out more, if they do. Okay, so I did notice something with these straight off the bat. So I'll grab them all out. And I've tried to label them all so I know which is which and don't get them confused. Now the Kmart ones, being a Kmart special, they fall out and they were only $2, so I wasn't expecting much. I'm still not expecting much. But there are 24 colours. I thought there was only 18, so in that one. And when you do the test, they come off on your fingers. Now the Montmartre palette, this one has 18 colours in it.
No colour.
No colour comes off. They don't have a very chalky finish.
I had a little bit of pink on my finger.
You did? You've got to push, must have pushed really hard because I haven't had any come off that one. And then the Koh-i-Noor ones, cat hair gets everywhere. I've numbered all the colours. They come off on your fingers as well. So I numbered all the colours so I would hopefully get them in the right spot. But I don't seem to be firing on all cylinders today because I haven't had a lot of sleep. So we'll see how we go. Now, where did I put the little swatches?
Maud said, is it good that no colour comes off? Yes. I think.
Proof is in the painting, really. It was just a little test to see how they reacted. It could mean that the Montmartre palette is going to be harder to lift, but it could also mean that there's less chalk in the Montmartre palette, so we'll see. Now I'm actually going to grab one of these new brushes. Oh, I gave them back to my assistant. Can you grab the brushes back, please?
Which one do you want?
The 10, please.
Is that the bigger one?
Just the one before the big one. Let's give these new paint brushes a whirl because I'm not having much fun with that water brush. My water brushes seem to grow legs and wander away because I take them
everywhere.
Yes.
Oh no! It got stuck on sticky. Oops. Okay, there you go.
So I'll just wash the sizing out. Whoa, that's quite stiff. So I don't know how these brushes perform either, so this will be interesting to see. We'll start with the yellow, which seem to have our primary. The water is sinking into the pans. But for a $2 palette, it's got some nice colour. That was a bit of a surprise. as I'm wetting the paints, they were really smooth, but as I'm wetting them, they're getting a rough consistency. And if I pick up more paint, you can see that it's getting streaky there. And this brush doesn't hold a lot of water either, so, and I think the paint is sucking it straight down in there to start with.
And so it never really. I don't know what it says.
I have a couple that I like using. Oh, all these plastic bags. Can you put them in the box, please? And there's another one. But yeah, I find most are a bit, how you going, and just leak all over the place. Next we have purple, which is a bit
Light.
Yep, a bit light, a bit harder to get some pigment out of.
I'm looking at this.
Red. They're doing better so far than I expected for a $2 palette.
So far.
I've tried Aldi brand, and they are just totally horrid. Okay, we might have run into our first roadblock.
Do me.
Orange looks like it's not. Oh no, wow. Okay, that just surprised me. It didn't look like it was coming up very well.
They stink.
Why are you smelling the paint?
No, I'm not smelling it. It just wafts up. Pussy. Oh no.
So next we have a white. I'll just check my paintbrush is clean.
Oh, I need food.
Get some.
But it's in there. Ow.
Oh, well, I thought my paintbrush is clean, but not quite. Okay. So these paintbrushes from J. Burrows are holding onto the pigment.
Do you like my fruits?
Can you see a paintbrush in that?
No wonder why my knee hurts so bad.
See if I can get a clean swatch. That's better.
That's not good.
No, it might be over there. Oh, they're up there.
Where?
Just there. Oh. On the computer table.
No wonder why my knee hurts so much.
Next we've got black. Not a very black.
Oh.
But again, I was expecting that. Mostly I was just curious if these are worth buying for kids so that they can actually make art that you can see and have colour. They are drying quite a bit lighter than they go on.
What paintbrush? It hurts really badly. That one's stiff.
Next we have green. And this one, you can see the white in the paint. So you can see the chalk filler. Ow. And it's quite a pale colour, washed out.
This one?
And that's too big. The snap flow will do if I need it.
This one?
The brown.
This one? No. This one?
Yes. Next we have another red, which is quite loose, and if I tip the palette upside down, it will fall out.
Look at that bruise. It's from camp. That hurt.
washing on it.
And that one's from banging my knee onto the pole.
I'm sure everybody wants to hear about your bruises. Not enough water. That one's become really rough. And we're on to the next colours.
Do we have any royals that's not in that?
Up there in that plastic bag.
Okay.
So their colours are not laid out in any specific order. It's just totally random what you get where. We're up to 13, which is a darker purple. So there's no colour theory at play at all here or anything like that. It's just what you get. Whichever one you want to open. I have a feeling this is going to be like a horrid green colour.
They always
and again, it's green. You can see the white in the paint.
It's disgusting.
Comes in useful for things. Shadows and plants.
And what kind of plants are? Oh.
The shadows in plants. Now we have this very pale pink, and I need extra water for that. It just soaked it straight off the brush.
Ow.
There is nothing coming up for this one. There we go. There's our $2.
Pale pink.
It's just hardly anything coming out at all. I was mostly curious about the Montmartre, and I've never tried the Koh-i-Noor, and I know a lot of people use the Koh-i-Noor paints.
What brand are these ones?
Superior.
Oh. Oh, well, there's a mint green there. In there. Oh.
Yeah, I haven't done that one yet.
I know, you're only doing that one.
Not a very big payload off of that one, but I wasn't expecting it because it is such a pale colour.
And then a brown.
I think these would probably work better if you misted them first or dropped some water on them first and let them sit for a minute or two. But I just wanted to try them all straight from being dry and see how they worked.
They dry pretty fast depending how much water you put on them.
You can already see this one's picked up a bit more pigment straight away.
Oh, that's not really mint green.
And the last colour palette, where do I start? 19.
It has a grey.
Again, lots of white texture in there.
You can actually see the white on there. There's white there. There's white all around there. And you'll be able to see much longer. See.
We've got grey.
Which should have been like a long right back in between.
Oh, they're just colours are all over the place.
All colours are all over the place. The ones at school are all over the place. Oh, look, there's air bubbles in these. Oh, meet the head.
Another purple.
Which one are you doing next?
Don't know if it's this brush or if just these colours just suck the paint, the water right off the brush.
Both?
Going to do this interesting teal colour. That looks pretty.
Until you put water on it.
Yep, true that. Well, I'm glad I'm using a cheap brush for this because I'm doing a lot of scrubbing here and I don't think I'm getting much colour.
No. I got a new subscriber. It's gonna never really. I don't know.
And now we're on to this pinky, purpley, fuchsia type colour.
Oh, so.
And again, I can see the white down in there. So I've seen a lot of things about buying kids art supplies and all these cheap ones that we get and how it doesn't really help kids get into art because if they're getting poor quality art supplies at student level, they're not going to think they're any good even if they are because the paints aren't working really well for them. So I'm just trying to see what alternatives are there.
That's basically the exact same colour as that.
It does almost look like it, doesn't it? So I just wanted to see what supplies there were for kids to use. I have a few little friends who like art and
that's not how it goes. No. That one's on top.
that's the bottom one.
Oh, then that one.
Yes.
Then this one. Then that one. Which one? This one?
I think
this
I can
one?
count sometimes.
Which one?
So next we're doing the Montmartre because that was $6, although I think I've seen that one more expensive. So chalky. I like the yellow up here, but that's about the only colour.
Same.
I do like that colour actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for kids, I mean, I didn't try mixing any together, but I don't think they'd mix really well. They've got a lot of filler. So let's see what a slight upgrade will do. And I got confused which colours had what, which pans had how many in them. So
there you go. I mean, it's 24.
Now, to be fair, I'll keep using the same brush.
For now.
And we'll start with number 1, which is
white.
And already I can see that it's picked up the white. I'll put a little bit more across the
black.
I'll put that stripe a bit low down. So we have our primaries on top.
Because there's only 3.
With a pink and a green. Wow, that's a lot of colour. Already a vast improvement. So an extra $4 so far gets you a little bit of bang for your buck.
Can I mix 2 colours together after you finish that one?
So it'll be interesting to see how these $6 paints compare to the $18 paints. The only difference in the palettes is the Koh-i-Noor one I got has an extra 6 paints. But I think I usually see this one for about $8 to $10, and I just happened to see it in a shop that was selling it rather cheaply.
Oh, I can't give you a snake. Or a little bit of a snake. That one starts to turn a little bit purple now, in between. Not really, but you know.
I'm just going to have a drink of water because my throat's getting a bit dry. You're so lucky I can't take a photo right now.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wrong brush.
Uh-huh.
And then lastly on this one, we have green.
He said, I don't know. Oh, could I recommend a pro set of watercolor by White Knight, a set of 12 full pans is less than £20.
I haven't tried the White Knights yet.
Is that one? Black.
Let's see how black their black is.
Black.
already I'm having to work way less to get paint up, so that's good.
Where's a tester thing so I can mix these two together?
There's a little, yeah, you can use that as a swatch piece.
Because I want to see how dark that purple is after that colour.
I like that. That's really pretty.
I thought that was a darker blue. Alright. Which brush? One of these ones.
So we have our purple, we have another yellow, so it'd be interesting to see what this yellow looks like compared to the other one. I really like these. Surprised. Then we have a spring green colour. It's really pretty. I think for, you know, little kids just starting out, this would be a good set. They don't have to work as much to get some colour. They're transparent. Just to get them started to see if they like watercolouring and things like that. Wow. That's nice. This is going so much faster than the last one just because they're just so easy to lift off the palette. It's like night and day.
Whoops.
I've seen lots of arguments if you want kids to stay interested in something like art, then buy them decent supplies rather than giving them the cheap stuff. And I think I agree with that to an extent. Like I wouldn't go out and buy a schminker or Sennelier palette for them, but buying something that works and that they're going to be able to use and learn with is much better than buying them something cheap that doesn't work properly.
Oh, it's only 18 colours?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm so tired.
Okay, last colour on this row is a brown.
No more snakes.
And that's the last one. Okay, let's have a look at that compared to our first swatch.
That's
There's
easy.
a
That one's
huge difference.
better.
Would you use those?
Yes. I should compare them to the school ones.
And then we have the Kohinoor set, which I have always been curious about and never actually used. And they're not usually readily available in Australia. So when I saw them on the Officeworks website, they have a lot of art supplies. Our actual in-store one does not have a lot of art supplies. But so I saw them on the website and just thought I'd grab them. And coming from the crafting world, I have seen a lot of people use these, which is why I was curious about them. And I know a lot of people also use the Kohinoor travel palettes and things.
At least these ones are actually in colour code. Cause that means, oh, not really all in colour code, but like, you know.
The colours are set out a bit better. They have a better flow.
I want to see how these ones go with blues. And that.
Oh, did you want one of these palettes? You wanted the Mont
No,
Marte one?
no, I've already did it.
Oh.
It doesn't mix very well.
It doesn't mix very well. Did you try and mix primary colours?
Yeah.
You may have picked two that don't work together.
No, the both, the red and the blue. So I'm gonna try this, but I'll wait until you swatch it.
So far, I'm liking the Mont Marte ones better. We'll see how it goes.
My feet are turning purple.
I don't think that's quite what I was expecting when I picked that colour up.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me then.
I can see a bit of a texture in this paint.
A brownie texture.
There's little flecks of something.
Ian said, are the closest to the primer paint?
I don't have any primer, but I do have the 3 Jane Davenport palettes.
They are good.
Which, pretty sure they're made in the same spot. There are some colours that have exactly the same pigments in them. I watched a lot of Spin Doctor videos and he managed to get the pigment info from Prima for the palettes. 7.
Stop running away. Not Mart one's still better.
So Miss Assistant is voting for the Mont Martes.
And currently. Wait, no, this one has 24 colours.
I was quite surprised by the Mont Martes because sometimes you get stuff from them and it's not great quality, and sometimes you get stuff and it's good. I hate their gesso.
What's gesso?
It's a primer. You paint it on things so you can paint over the top of it, and then the paint will stick to it.
Oh, is that like when you like just paint over the top of the canvas thing?
Yes.
Oh, that stuff that other people use. Oh, I like that colour. Okay, I might be voting a different way.
The gesso is very plasticky, and I get that it's acrylic, but it's literally like painting on acrylic, the really shiny wall paints or something like that. Your stuff just slides all over it. It's horrible. It has no tooth to it whatsoever. That's a pretty colour too. That actually reminds me of one of the Jane Davenport colours. Moving on to browns. My assistant ran away. Okay, a couple more browns and then on to the greens. I like the look of this colour. It looks like chocolate. just had to tell my daughter to shut the door because she left it open, and we have to have the heater off while filming because it's very loud.
Didn't have it off the last time.
We're wrapped in blankets.
Well, you are. Well, I am. I don't understand why people don't use matte something as a gesso.
Probably because I don't even know what it is. I've never actually heard of it before, so.
So the first time you've heard it?
Yep.
Okay.
So they flow nicely into each other. I touch the wet paint.
It's gonna rain later. Look, my hair's curly. Going curly.
Good, we need rain.
It was raining in Kalori.
We need the whole of New South Wales to rain.
The thing you paint on the wall. I'm tired. Even though I slept till like 2:35. No, I think that's a good thing.
Okay, 17.
18. No, you're going on 18. No, you're going on 17. What?
Somebody watches too much Sound of Music.
I can't watch it because it's not on Netflix anymore. Actually, I haven't checked. You shouldn't have told me that.
Miss Assistant just fell over, trying to sit down. Oh dear, kid. What am I going to do with you?
Playing camp. They're playing the last activity and I was
She's been to camp and she's very tired because they were doing lots and lots and lots of activities.
That involves a lot of harnesses.
What did you do?
High ropes, challenges, which I kind of ran faster into a pole several times.
You might need to come closer so people can hear you.
I don't care if they didn't hear that last part.
You don't want people to know you were abusing your teacher by running her into poles.
Wait, I paid her by giving her chocolate. My favourite chocolate. What is my chocolate? I like that green. 18.
They are drying quite a bit lighter as well.
It's cold in here. Yeah, high ropes, challenges, drop pole, which was like high, and the pole was moving, so it was even scarier at the very, very top. What else did I do? Laser tag, that was fun.
You played laser tag at camp?
Yeah.
We didn't have laser tag at our camp.
Oh, it was during a day laser tag thing. It was fun because we captured we played capture the flag. We won that both times because no one could get to it. What else did I do? Giant swing. Archery.
Let's see how dark blue this dark blue is.
Oh, I like that blue. Beach games, a night hike, then we watched the movie, or watched the 40, so I chose to watch the movie. So we watched X-Men, I've forgotten the second part of that.
Then we have a grey.
We have two greys, a light grey and a dark grey.
I believe the other one's supposed to be black.
True.
So we'll see. See how black the black is.
I don't know, I'll look it up. I'll look up all the challenge. I'll look up all the things. Even though it's... Oh, okay, that's a surprise.
Black.
That's a surprise. Okay, that's a darker black than the other one. Okay.
That's pretty good black. Okay, let's have a look. Start with the Kmart, and much better than the Kmart. And then we'll try with the Montmartre. So they both have some really nice colours. I can see some that are sitting on top with the Montmartre, so they might probably have quite a bit of filler in them. But even so, they're still giving some nice colour.
So the Blind Fox challenges drop pole, high ropes.
You having fun over there?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. And then for this one's sitting on top. These two are sitting on top of the black. This one is. But for the rest are pretty transparent. I think they're both alright sets. I think as a first set for a child, I think I'd go with that one. Price-wise, they seem alright. We can have a quick look at some colours. Colour mixing.
Giants doing this fun. But like, put so many harnesses. Yeah. Harnesses. The most annoying part.
This one seems to have a little bit of granulation in it. Now, this paper is really cheap, but I can see some interesting textures happening in there.
Texture.
So that was number 20. I just labelled these with a white gel pen, and I was surprised it stayed, but it did, so that worked. What colours should we take?
Mix. A yellow. Oh, I know, because there's no actual red.
What? Red. Those are magentas that will mix with yellows.
That's orange. That's a darker version of orange, and that one's a darky. That one has that's a red and orange.
Okay, let's take 10. And which yellow should we take?
I don't know.
2 or 3, Miss Mod? I mean, Miss Assistant. I nearly said your real name.
No,
And I would have got my bottom smacked. 2 or 3?
I don't know. Do whatever.
Oops. That's a very strong colour, that. They didn't go very well. Let's get lots of this yellow. Well, I don't think that was a good choice. Let's try the other yellow. Oh, I don't know if you can hear outside, but yeah, that wasn't very nice. Oh dear, we can hear our neighbours. Lovely. Saturday night partying, I guess. I really like that colour. It's very pretty.
Which one?
10. I'm starting to see they do have a slight chalky finish at the end. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about them. But I definitely wouldn't recommend the $2 set. What I'm going to do is take the 3 colours that they have on the top and mix them together. This is the Montmartre set. Kind of, even though they're not set out in colour order, I kind of do like the way they've set them out.
That looks more orange now.
It's because I mixed the yellow into it. Oops, I'll have to clean that off.
What?
The mess I just made on there.
That's the one that I ran this into. That's funny though.
Oh, I forgot that I put yellow in that one, so I'll come from the bottom.
It's too funny.
Well, we're not getting a nice purple out of that colour. A shadow purple. Just thought I'd mix them because they had them all on the top together. Oh. Let's try a yellow. And blue. That's a nice green.
Okay.
The green I just made from the yellow and the blue.
Mint green.
They're not too bad. Obviously, I've got better paints, so I'm a little bit biased. I love my Daniel Smiths, so I don't see me replacing them with these or some of my other palettes. But again, I can get the Jane Davenports really cheaply as well, and they are really nice paints to use. So again, that would be another starter kit for kids, I guess. Let's get them all up here so we can have a look at them all together. So we've got the Kohinoor, the Montmartre, I'll move my water bucket a bit, and the Kmart set, which, yep, there's a lot of paints in there, but they're horrible. I wouldn't give them to a kid to paint.
Then 2 can stay. While you stuff that up, okay, I'm fixing this up.
Well, I was just putting them back away for now.
Alright, what's yet? No, that's the yellow.
I'm in trouble.
Yes.
What would you pick if you
know.
had to paint with one of these?
I don't know.
Good morning.
Morning, Veronica.
We are just looking at some super cheap sets of watercolour we can get in Australia. We don't actually have a lot of access in our art shops to a wide variety. Not where I live anyway. There is a couple of art shops in the city, but art supplies here, I know art supplies everywhere are quite expensive, but are super expensive here. So this is a $2 Kmart set, and it's horrible. That's all I have to say about that. Some of the colours look nice. I like that colour and that colour.
You got a new subscriber.
But apart from that, the more paint you use, the more streaky it gets. They're very pale, not much colour payout, but for $2 paints, that's what I expected, really. And then the Montmartre set has really surprised me. It's quite pretty. There's quite nice colours. They're quite vibrant, even though you can see in quite a few of the paints that they sit on top, so they're not as transparent as some of the others. So that's probably fillers or chalk or whatever, but they're quite nice for the price. They only cost me $6 for the 18 colours, and then the Kohinoor cost me $18, I think, for the 24 colour set, and that's how they look. So they are quite nice too, and I'll let Miss Assistant have some play with them some and see what she thinks of them a bit more, and see if she likes them. I would probably veer towards these more to take when I'm going to art with some of my little friends, or I would use them in craft projects as opposed to my art projects. So we are done, I think, tonight, unless there are any questions or anything anybody wants to say. We also swatched out the rest of the superior colours. My cocktail colours set came. They sent me the wrong one. They sent me the original colour set in this size when I already had the big set. So they resent the proper ones, and so we swatched them out. They're quite pretty colours, but a lot of them I can see have white in them, as opposed to the original colours that are fairly transparent for most of them. But they are really pretty colours, and I can see a use for them in my work and what I like to do, so I'm quite happy with them. If you stay tuned to next Saturday's video, if anyone is interested, I'm actually doing a 500 sub party, and one of the prizes will be a Jane Davenport's Bright set, if anybody is interested in giving them a go. Anyway, thank you all for watching. We are going to go now because Miss Assistant has to get up super early in the morning, something like 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, which is super early for her on a Sunday. Sunday. You like to sleep in on Sundays. Be real. Sometimes I'm lucky to see her before 12 o'clock, but that's teenagers for you. So we will see you all next time. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.